My name is Sheilagh Ogilvie. I'm Professor of Economic History in the Economics faculty in Cambridge. I look at the economic lives of ordinary people in the past, and I try to learn from that how poor countries become richer over a period of centuries. I think that the basic question of economics is the same as the basic question of policymakers in the present day, which is how do we deal with the problem of poverty, both on an individual level, on a community level, and on a national level. And so I think that in trying to answer how modern rich economies drag themselves out of a kind of abject poverty that is very similar to that of the bottom billion today, I think that we may be able to find some lessons that would be applicable, not just in present-day less developed economies, but in the pockets of deprivation in our own economies that I think policymakers also want to dig out and rectify and improve not just people's material well-being, but their well-being as human beings measured in all sorts of different ways. The basic question that I'll be addressing in the lecture is, I think, what's the basic question of economics in general, which is how do poor countries become richer? And we know now that Europe began to diverge economically, began to outstrip other parts of other continents of the planet around 1600, and we know that the northwest corner of Europe began to outstrip the other parts of Europe around that time. So the basic question I'm addressing is why that happened. One of the most influential stories that's been told in recent years has to do with institutions, the informal and formal rules governing economic interaction. And what I'll be looking at in today's lecture is I'll be looking at some of the most popular theories that have been put forward about which institutions affected European or English economic superiority after about 1600, and I'll be casting a slightly skeptical eye over these theories, and I'll be trying to draw some positive lessons for what we as economists and policymakers can learn from the last 800 years of European history. I think I can summarize that in about one sentence, which is that institutions come as an integrated, interconnected system of institutions. And as policymakers, or indeed as economists, we can't pick out one or two components of that system and expect to be able to transplant them without the other components of the institutional system that support them and hold them in place. What occurs to me is actually something that might not seem to be relevant for either economics or policymaking, which is what Einstein said when he was giving a lecture in Oxford in 1933 on the method of theoretical physics. And he said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. And I think if academics are engaging with policymakers, we do have to make our message simple, but we mustn't oversimplify.